Hi, I'm Tammy, and today we're going to be doing a long layered haircut. Today we're going to do a long layered haircut. We're just going to be doing some trimming, nothing too crazy, but we'll probably be taking a couple inches off the bottom and add some layers into it. So as you can see, it's pretty long. It's hanging over the chair here. I think we're going to take it to about right here. But when hair is this long and it's hanging over the chair and there's that little lump right there because of the chair, you really need to have your clients stand up so you can have their hair lay against their back evenly. So as you can see, if you have your client stand up when your hair is that long, it's much better because then her hair can lay flat against her back and you're going to get a more even haircut. So now I'm just going to section it off. Okay, so I started sectioning where the head starts to curve like this. So I started my section right above that. I'm going to have my client tilt her head slightly forward. So now I'm just going to bring everything down to that guideline. And for her sides, I'm going to have her turn this way so I can show you. Time just to where her ear is, and be careful you don't comb her ear too much. We're going to comb all this down and pull this back like this. So I'm going to comb it down and then pull it back, and then I'm just going to cut that corner right there with the rest of the hair. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Now I can have my client sit back down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to section out my rounds, the top part of the hair before it starts curving and rounding over. We just pulled that out of the way and I sectioned that out. Now I'm going to section out the sides out of the way. About right behind her ear. Where it starts to curve this way, I'm going to do like a V section. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle part of this. I'm going to section out a middle area right here. Pull this section out, just straight up. And I'm going to cut off that corner right there. And I'm going to follow that through on both sides. Take another section right next to it. Pull that all the way out. And you can see my guide before. I'm just going to follow the guide. Cut off that corner. Because of the hairline, the way it is, because of the ear, you don't want it to be too thin in here. So to compensate for that, we're going to over-direct that area, over-direct that back. So when it falls more full in that area. So again, I'm going to take that middle section there. I'm going to pull that up and around. I'm going to pull that up and around. See what I did is I pulled it up straight from the head, sort of in a 90-degree angle, and then I'm curving my hands even more, like that, and then I'm going to cut that like that. So what will happen is the haircut will appear more rounded. So the whole long layered haircut will shape to her head and will fall nicely. So I'm just kind of pulling it and dragging it and cutting it like that. Now for the sides, I'm going to be doing a lot of over-directing back again. And that is, again, so the sides don't get shorter than the back, which happens a lot with long layers. So if you want to avoid that, over-direct it back. You can always blend it in later after it's dry. You can always cut it shorter later. So I'm going to over-direct this section here. I'm going to keep combing that part right here. You want to make sure that all the kinks are combed out. So sometimes I'll even take my comb and just quickly go over it. I'm going to follow the guide from my previous cutting. So I'm going to follow that. I'm going to over-direct it back. And then I can see underneath my previous guide. I'm just going to cut that off like that. This middle section here, I'm going to over-direct that. There's really not much left. There's just like a little corner right there. You can, especially with these long layers, so you're not cutting everything way up high or way out here, you can drop the hair and then cut it as long as your fingers are holding that hair very tightly. I mean, some people are completely against that, but I think it's fine as long as you're holding it tightly and you're not putting a lot of tension on it. Now to get my length there, and I'm going to have my client turn her head. The reason why we're going to have her turn her head is so we don't have the problem like we had before. So if you turn it back, you can see it's falling over her shoulders, and then it's not going to lay as nice. If I just have her slightly turn her head, make sure that when she turns her head, she doesn't put her chin down, which a lot of people tend to do when they turn their head. Make sure she keeps her chin up and it's level with the floor. And then comb all that down. I want to make sure that you tap the ear a little bit so you don't get like a hole right there. And I'm just going to cut that section right there. Now we're going to work on the top. I'm just going to have her tilt her head back a little bit. I'm going to work everything kind of up and back. So I'm going to take a section about an inch, maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. Depends on how thick your client's hair is. And I'm going to work it into the back. I'm going to take a section out in the back, usually like a V section or like a rounded section in the back, just in that top area right there. I'm going to go up and back, and I can see my guide from before, and I'm going to actually just point cut that. Instead of going back and point cutting it, I'm just going to do it all at the same time. You can do that if the hair is pretty straight, saves you a step later. Up, and then back like that. I'm going to round my fingers as I go. See, my fingers are kind of rounded because the head is rounded. So you want to round your fingers. And I'm going to point cut as I go. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the sides back into it too. This is how I'm going to check and blend. So my sides are going to go up and back like this. Not all the sides, but just kind of this top section here, just for blending. I'm going to pull that up and back too. And we'll see if that needs any blending there. And not really, there's just like a little corner right there. I'm just going to point cut that. Now, we're going to start our face framing kind of low. You don't want to go too high if the layers are long, because then it tends to get too choppy. I mean, it can be done, but it actually usually works a little bit better if the layers are lower. So we're just going to kind of face frame it right around there. I'm going to use my razor. This is my feather razor. And I'm just going to guide that down. I'm going to slide it down with my razor. It's going to keep going down with it, and just kind of cut those corners off it right there. You have to be really careful not to cut into your sides too much. You want to just blend it. You want most of your face framing to be before the ear, not after the ear. So right before the ear begins is most of your face framing. Everything else is just blended. Otherwise, again, it'll get shorter in the front. Okay, these are the results.